We are going to look at how to use accordance to find the interrogative He. And so we're going to run a very specific search, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, we have our accordance up. The only text we have displayed now is the Hebrew Bible, Biblia Hebraica, and we're looking at Psalm 1. The text is a little bit small. I can go over here to the left of this bar at the top. You see the little letter A and the bigger letter A. That's to decrease or increase the font size. I'm going to make the font size a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Now we'll go up to the search bar. Notice that the blue-gray oval here can be set to either verses or words. I want to set it to words for this particular search. Typically when we're searching for a Hebrew word, we want that to be words. And notice that in order to get the search functionality working in general, I always have to have clicked on this search bar. To illustrate the search menu bar, I'm going to reduce the size of this window a little bit. Let's first look at how to use the search menu item in general. In order to be able to use the search menu item up here at the top, you have to click the white search bar, and notice that there is a blue highlighting all the way around it now. This way, when I go to the search menu bar, notice that all of the items are highlighted so that I can select them. If I click somewhere else and the blue highlighting is no longer around the search bar, when I go to the search menu item, notice that many of the items are not highlighted. So I have to click on the search bar and see the blue highlighting in order to be able to use the search menu. And then I can search for whatever I'm looking for, adjectives, nouns, particles, pronouns, various things that I can search for. So that's just a general comment on using the search menu item. Now for what we're doing today, we don't need the search menu item. We're going to type directly into the search bar. Again, the blue-gray oval is set to words. Because it's Hebrew, our cursor is over on the right-hand side because we type from right to left in Hebrew. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to type an H on my keyboard, Hey, and now a menu appears below. And there's a number of things that it shows. It shows some words that it could possibly be. It also gives me the option of looking for the definite article, but I'm looking for the interrogative here. I'm looking for the interrogative He. Now in this case I'm not looking for every instance of interrogative He in the entire Bible, but I want to get some representative examples. So here is interrogative He. There's another option below it, interrogative, and that is where the He has a makaf, that top bar coming after it. And that also appears in the Bible. The first one, interrogative He, is one where the interrogative He appears and it's attached to a word. So it's an inseparable letter attached to the word that comes after it. And so I'm going to click on that, and note that up here, right hand side of the search bar, I now have equals, then I have a He, I have this Kametz Hatut composite schwa, and that is what the interrogative He looks like. So there's one more step. I have to hit enter. When I hit enter, then the search will take place. So I'm going to hit enter now. And note that what appears here is Genesis 3:11. That's the first verse in the Bible that has the interrogative He that's attached to a word after it. The way that I have it set up is that my search results are blue highlighted. And so here's the first one over here. It's in Genesis 3:11. And then notice in Genesis 4:7, the interrogative He appears at the very beginning of that verse. Genesis 4:9, it appears over here in the middle of the verse. But it's the blue highlighting that shows me where my search results are. Down here we have Genesis 8:8. Now it can be convenient to have English translations that go along with these. And I can do that over here on the top right-hand side of the bar just above the text where it says add parallel. And so I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to come down, and it says ESV with Strong's is the one that I'm going to pick. That's the English translation that I've used most often, and it will give you that because I have used it recently. So I'm going to click that, and notice that then it gives me a parallel English along with the Hebrew on the right hand side. I can also make the English text a little bit bigger so that it's a little bit closer to matching the Hebrew text in terms of the number of verses per window. As I move the Hebrew text down, notice that the English text moves with it. So if I come down and I want to look at Genesis 16:13, for example, notice that the English text has also moved so that I have Genesis 16:13 also displaying. So going back up, here's an example in Genesis 4:7 where the interrogative He comes right at the beginning of the verse, and notice that it comes right before the word lo. That's the word for not. And so when we have halo, that's very common for a negative question. So is it not the case, or if it is not the case that something happens, then the question goes on. So here we have halo im tetiv sa'et. And literally, is it not if you do well lifting? And it means lifting of the face, which means you will be accepted. And so the question is being asked, is it not the case that if you do well, you will be accepted? And so that's the question that's being asked here in Genesis 4:7. Now, the interrogative He can also be used to mean if or whether. So let's come down and look at Genesis 8:8 here. Genesis 8:8, we see it in the middle of the verse. I'll just go ahead and read it. Vayishlach et hayonah me'ito l'ra'ot hakalu hamayim me'al panei ha'adamah. And so the verse is saying, and he sent hayonah, the dove. Yonah is very similar to the Hebrew name for Jonah. Hayonah, literally from with him. So he sent the dove from with him or from him. And then here we have an infinitive construct. It's got a lamed preposition, and ra'ot is the infinitive construct. I'll click on it and we'll see the instant details tell us that the root is ra'ah. Notice that here, and we find out that's an infinitive construct. To see is the meaning of the verb. It's also the meaning of this infinitive construct in this context, to see. So he sent the dove from him to see, and now we have the interrogative He here, to see whether, and then hamayim is the waters. Kalu would be had lessened, maybe subsided. Me'al, from above or from over or from upon. Panei ha'adamah, the face of the ground. Now, here it doesn't sound like it's asking a question to see whether the water had subsided, but you can always get an implied question from it. To see, and then we could stop there and say to see, and maybe ask the question, to see, has the water subsided from the face of the ground? So there's an implied question, even if we wouldn't translate it that way into English. Now for your assignment, you're being asked to find some of these verses, copy them. So you'll highlight and then copy. You can just do a copy with a right click, or just do Control-C. And then paste that into a Word document, translate the verse, and then talk about how the interrogative He is being used.